you, Lucky. Good with you. Again, my name is Pastor Cassandra, and we have the honor of having Willie Langdji with us today. He has been visiting throughout our synod for about the last week. So we're grateful for the ministry partnership that Christ the King has had with the Central African Republic for many years. We're honored that Willie will be with us this week. I don't even know how long Willie have served in this role.
A long time.
A long time. And we're grateful that he has spent this week with us. So I'd like to invite forward Willie Langdji to present.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, today is Sunday. Yeah. All right. On Sunday, we had another Sunday last week, right? And that Sunday I went to church. So who went to church? Everybody? That's wonderful. Great. Yeah, last Sunday I was listening to what we do when we go to the church, listening to the pastors, to the scripture readings, and I'm not going to quote the scripture readings because I will make a mistake and my pastor will learn perhaps. But anyway, so I know it was in Kings and in Matthew, and the thing that came across to me as last Sunday was about fear. Fear. There was wind, there was strong wind, there was earthquake, and there are lots of earthquakes recently around the world. Some of our close brothers and sisters in Venezuela, and there was just one in California this morning. So there was some earthquake, and then there was a fire, and then God was doing all of that, and God came beside us. So sometimes with the fear, we as Christians, we are afraid. That's what I was thinking. Sometimes we're really afraid, we fear to witness, we think that we're not doing much. But I believe that we do a lot of things that we do, good things. We witness our faith, and then we keep asking ourselves, are we really doing enough? And for those who maybe have more than others, sometimes you question yourself, am I really sharing as Christ is calling me to share? And so today I will try to share with you some of the good things that you're doing, and just to reassure you that you're doing great. You're witnessing great. And God is listening, God is watching, and when you witness, God uses the level that you think you have to do wonderful things that you may never really imagine that you can do. So to begin, my name is Willie Langdji. The Cameroonian, I was born and raised in Cameroon. Now I have two homes, one is in Cameroon, one is in Montana, where I arrived in Summer. And I bring greetings to you from your siblings in the Central African Republic and in the Western Central African region, where I am representing you where you sent me to be. Maybe you don't know that I did that. Just remember that you did that. And so when I talk today about we or us, I'm talking about you. Talking about the ELCA. The ELCA is me, it's nobody else. So, in the ELCA, this is my first time here at Parish King. I'm very happy to be here. Never been here. I've met people from Parish King. Travel with great people like Caroline and Lucky and Veronique just shut up. All from guys again, many of them. And so you've been involved in very wonderful ministries in the Central African Republic, and the people there appreciate you, they appreciate what you do, they appreciate the prayers that you offer about them and pray for them all the time. So thank you very much for that. In the ELCA, we global mission, we are divided into different units, what we call regions, and Africa is one of the 5 main regions that global mission work is centered in being carried out. So I'm part of the team of the West Africa region. And when we go into West Africa, we try to restructure ourselves and to be more efficient. We divide it amongst ourselves in different parts of the continent. There's a huge continent, 53 countries, and we're just 5 of us who are regional representatives on the continent. The 2 other members of the team are based in Chicago. So my responsibility is for the West and Central Africa region. And the Western Central Africa region, we ELCA relates to 9 countries. And in these 9 countries, we have church-to-church relationships and also relationships with faith-based organizations. So of the 9 countries, I am responsible for direct relationships with 5. The Central African Republic, Cameroon, Nigeria, Ghana, and Senegal. So, and what we do is, our relationships are based on the accompaniment model. And this model where we work with people who work with us. They support us, we support them, we pray for us, and we pray for them. This accompaniment model is practiced in many different ways. Some of it is through through tending to the church-to-church relationship that the ELCA has with these different churches. Some of it is through the providing small grants to support the ministries of our companion churches in the region. Some of it is through scholarships to help train and build the capacities of members of the churches to run the different ministries. So we do this all along on the continent and in other parts of the world. But I'll try to narrow down to the Central African Republic, where you have a companionship relationship with that country, with the church. Let's see if I can turn this on. All right, so just briefly, this is the statistic that we have for the continent. There are over 30 million Christians, Lutherans on the continent, and we have over 44 relationships in 27 countries. Companionship relationships, we have 50. So different kinds of grants that we give to the churches go to what we call, some of them go to what we call mission and ministry support, which means support for seminaries, training bishop, pastors, and evangelists, and other ministers to minister to the different churches and different people in the region. Then the other one is for sustainable development programs. These programs that provide things like health, like education, agriculture. outlet on. Uh, this is just showing you the map of the continent and the different countries where I serve, the countries in the green. And next slide, please. All right. Okay, so one key ministry that you have been involved in is developing agriculture, sustainable agriculture. And we have been able to work with the farmers and other people who raise their crops for over the years, and they've gotten to the point where they produce more things like peanut, corn, beans, and all that. Then we have lots of peanut. People produce peanut and others eat peanut for the whole year. So what do we do with the excess? What we do is we then try to add value to the peanut and market the products, and then we get more income for those families. And this is one of the products, peanut oil. Just using a simple peanut press, and we get one best quality peanut oil. This is 100% peanut oil with nothing added to it, and it's nutritionally very good. So this is being used in at the health center to help feed children, improve on the nutrition of the new babies and the mothers. Also for pregnant women when they come in for their weekly prenatal and postnatal care. Another program that we're involved in is education. The church has been running schools in very remote communities. One of the problems in Central African Republic is a landlocked country, very remote. Infrastructure is very limited. In fact, it's just one road that goes from the border of Cameroon down to the capital city. Outside of that, to get to any community is very difficult. Education is supposed to be free, provided by the government, but the government doesn't have the capacity to do that. And so there are very remote communities with children of school age who are have or cannot have access to education. So about 5 years ago, the church started schools in different communities. And now we have over 30 schools based in these very remote communities. So these schools are producing good quality education, kids who have good quality education, but then who end up going into very poor systems that are running by the state or by other actors in the education system. So the question was then, what do we do with these kids? How we prepare kids, and then they lose after elementary school, they lose this quality of education. What do? We came up with the idea of starting a high school, which we've been supporting. So this is the first private Protestant high school in the country. It's a college that has had implemented for over 60 years. And the church has been in Central African Republic for over 100 years. So we are at this stage now, hoping that as we grow, we get to the point where we have a college. But the important thing is that that challenge of having kids having their education is being broken, and that you are an important part of that program. This program is supported 100% by companion synods. The Central African Republic has 3 companion synods. You, Eastern North Dakota, and Western North. So this is something to be proud of, to be happy that we are witnessing to God's people. So
You have to be Lutheran to go to school, or can anyone?
No, everybody. So one thing is that all communities are very mixed. There's no community that's only Christians or only Muslims. We go into the community, you find Christians, Muslims, people of other religious beliefs together. And so these schools are open to everybody. Okay, so please, you can ask questions as I go. If you don't understand anything, I will try to find an answer to your question. So the school started from a very small, basic hangar with thatched straw, and just to protect the kids from the sun or rain. But if the rain is too strong, then it's not going to be, that shade is not going to protect them. And then with support that you provide, you go from there. The community assembles local materials like stones, sand, and wood sometimes. And then you provide the build the walls, and you provide the money to put on the roof, and also to equip the classroom with the benches and books, and provide support that goes to pay for the teachers. The parents also participate a little bit to pay the salaries of the teachers who are in school. But the majority of the money that comes from the building, the schools come from support from the Parish Synod. So that's a complete school building. If you look at some of you, the Emmanuel Health Center is one of the major projects that this company, this synod has been involved in. They started many years ago as primary health care program, where there was more providing education, health education, immunization into the different communities. And eventually, about 20 years ago, we built the first Lutheran health center, which is called Emmanuel Health Center. And you were supporting this health center since it was built, and before it was built, you also contributed money that went to build the school, the health center. It provides care to a population of over 70,000 within a radius of like 60 miles. Within this radius, you will not find another health center. So this is very important. That will be
Well, excuse me, what was the population?
70,000.
70,000.
Yeah. So the different services include modern child care, immunization, mainly an outpatient center, but there's also a small capacity of 40 inpatient care. The director of the head nurse, and since 2024, we've had a special program that will also be very involved with, which is fistula repair for women who have had difficulties with delivery. Fistula actually happens during the delivery. Sometimes, if a woman has long labor, you can end up with a rupture in the fistula, and it's a highly specialized surgical process. So, in collaboration with a foundation in Australia, it's called the Barbara May Foundation, we started providing this care to women, and it's the only center that does that in the whole country. That service does not exist anywhere in the country. So each year we have two council, we call it the fistula council, go out and look for women who have that problem. And they come for a week of surgery, and then they're provided care from their arrival till their discharge in sent back home. So this is after the surgery, you can see the joy on the women's faces and the medical staff. Another thing that you've been doing is providing portable water to the communities. For the past about 25 years, the water project, as we call it, is providing portable water through harnessing springs, natural springs. It is not a sophisticated system. What we do is to capture the water from the spring and you filter and build a filtration system that is natural, simple, and filters by gravity. So the water that you get from it is really good portable water. And we've had so much water in one of the springs that we said, let's move to the next stage. We need to look for ways to start sustaining some of these programs. So put in a modern water filtration system, we filter the water and pack it with small sachets that are affordable to almost everybody. With 50 cents, even 10 cents, you can have a liter of water or half a liter of water. So this is the outcome of that project.
So the water is coming from a spring box that was previously set up by the church as well, right?
Yes, and then
And those don't have a faucet, so it just runs continuously.
it runs continuously, and so we pipe it into this unit where we filter and package it in more hygienic way. And anybody can afford water anytime of the day. It is sold in different small shops in the different villages. So we have vendors who can collect the water, and then they sell it, they make a profit for themselves, and the project makes some income. One of the things that is happening in Africa today is that the church is growing very fast. We have very young people going to church. When I say growth rate is numbers, it's the number of Christians is increasing very fast. And one of the ways that outreach is done is through open evangelism. Is led mainly by the Sunday schools. So they go out by a weekend, they open, put out a big loud sound system, they preach, they sing, they carry out a community project, and by Sunday evening, they go back home. And that is something that's bringing a lot of witness to the communities and bringing more people to church. So as the church grows in numbers, the worship spaces are reducing. And so if you go into almost every community, a new chapel of worship space is being built. It's bigger than what was there before. And what your participation is that after the community builds the walls, and then you provide the funds for the roofing. Those roofing sheets are very expensive, and we have to ship them into the country from Cameroon. That makes it very expensive. So that's a very key industry to support this part. The church life and the congregational growth that you are actively involved in. Offerings that's a key part of that worship, and offering can take an hour or two. It's not very Our worship sessions are not 1 hour, 1.5 hours. And we go for hours, depending on the occasion. Sometimes we can have a service for 3 or 4 hours. And the other thing that is very important is helping women's groups. Women and youth are key part of the church. And what the church provides some support to women's groups to either start small businesses or do community farming. And what community farming really is garden, which is also like in the dry seasons, to be able to get greens and other food that I have to get during when there's no rain. So put in a well, and they make it for a group farm. But besides the group farms, the women also have their individual plots. What is produced on the group farm can be sold, and that the funds recycled into the group funds to keep the group going, and sometimes to support individual members in their needs. So the funds we could use some of the money to use sometimes just to whether it's spring, we use machinery to excavate, and so that the water fills a basin as big as this hall, and people can use it either for agriculture or for household needs. Yeah. So you need to visit. We know that you're good at visiting, so you need to go, come, and there's a standing invitation from the president of the Church of Central African Republic for you to come and visit and see what your support is doing. I'd like you to come and visit and also pray with them. You pray again, yes, that's good, but you come and pray with them, it's even more significant and more enriching. Hospitality is very important. When you visit in a country like Senegal, we have a tradition where you visit and you sit down with people. Nobody's in a hurry, you have plenty of time. So you sit down and make coffee, which is called a tire, and it's in a very small coffee kettle, and we're drinking very small, tiny glasses. Everybody drinks from one glass. So you have to be very patient and visit a lot, share all the information you have, and wait to take your turn. Yeah. So I drink, and I don't have to hurry when it comes to my turn. You don't have to hurry until when I'm done with it. The cup is never full. Don't fill it to the brim. Fill it halfway and drink it slowly. You're done, and it is filled again and pass on to the next person. That gives you plenty of time to share and to discuss and to ask all the questions and share all the information and the news that is going around that point. So when you visit, don't be in a hurry. Plan to deal with us. This is one of the small businesses that is supported by this young woman. Other things that the church is involved in is the job skills training. So they train young people to go out and either start their own businesses or go out and look for jobs. And this could be in any field. But the particular attention is given to women and the youth. In this case, is where the women are being trained to make soap. The women spend a day or two learning how to make soap, and at the end of that training, you go back home with a good quality of soap that you make, which can last you for 2 months or more. And you also take home some of the products that you can use to make more so. If you make enough, you sell and make income for yourself and your family. Sewing is another skill that is very common. We don't buy ready-made clothes very much. We prefer to make our own clothes. So that is something that is helping a lot of young people who are not employed, going to find jobs, but will be able to employ themselves. The seminary in the Central African Republic. So now, questions? Let's have a conversation now. You have plenty of time.
Where's my half a cup of tea?
We may have to go and get the tea kettle.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could share more about physio clinics and the kind of change it makes in the surgical patient's life once this is before and after surgery.
Well, this is one of the ministries that has really touched my faith personality. Peninsula is such a difficult situation for a woman to fistula damage, and it's such a difficult situation for a woman to be in. And before I met the first patients, the finance director of the church, I was having a conversation with him, and he transported some of these women to the clinic. And he looked at me and he said, Willie, if you have any problem with anybody, your worst enemy, never wish them to have that problem. That's what he told me. And I went to the clinic when the women were arriving, this special ward for them. And I went to visit them. I could barely make 5 minutes at the door of this ward. That was the first day. And I was not able to breathe. It was very difficult for me to breathe, and I could feel the pain and the sorrow and the shame in the faces of these women. So I went back, and the next morning I came back and I spent 30 minutes inside, laughing and talking, chatting with these women. All of them bright, happy, and we went into all of the conversations at that point. So we were telling the stories of how it happened to them, how they have been living with this, and how difficult it has been for them to sit amongst other people. You would the women who they for 15 years, 20 years. Young women, as the youngest patient we have had is 13 years old. So that is just how quick that program can change, transform somebody's life. And women telling the stories of how they would sit somewhere, and when they leave, people come to see what they left behind. And there's this particular woman who came from a place deep in the forest, in the south of Central African Republic, and it's about 100 miles or 120 miles. Over 200 kilometers is how many, about that. I'm not good at that convention. And it took her 2 days to get to the clinic. And in fact, to get to the church office where the vehicle took her to the clinic. And what had happened, she had it when she was having her 4th kid. Luckily, the kid so I came to know that. And she's been living with us for 4 years. She said, living in the bush, in the forest, she didn't hear the information. But her cousin, who lives in the capital city, got the information about the program on radio. And then called, and what had happened is when she had this problem, husband's family wanted him to divorce them. And the husband said, no, he's never going to do that. So he stood by her. And when they had that information, he hurriedly looked around for some money and put her on the road with his younger brother. So they traveled for 2 days. She didn't shower, there was no way for her to play. But she said, we'll go to a certain village somewhere, stay the night, and the people is like that would have the gave our hotel to take a bath. And she got to clinic, but suddenly that next morning, and by evening, we were all having a good time. So this is just how quick, how transformative that program is. And it's the center of Ghana is the only place in the whole country where you can find that. So that's how transformative it is. Okay.
With the education of the elementary schools and also now the high schools, who are the teachers? Are they trained from the state, from the country? Who trains the educators?
Because of the remoteness of these communities, it's hard to find state trained teachers to go into those communities. And the state trained teachers are also very few. And most of them serve in the government schools. So what the church does, they recruit a youth from the community that is trained. We will bring in trainers from the church, from the government government training school to train the youth, and the youth go back and serve in their own communities.
When you say youth, how old are they?
Well, 30. Youths are 30.
So I'm kind of adult really. Children, so we call you.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the population of CAR. Are there large cities there? What's the capital city like? Just tell me a little bit.
The governors, they have this one city, capital city. The other ones have some big towns. The population is estimated about 4 million. And it's very, capital city has the least infrastructure you can imagine. And the roads in the city are paved, there are probably 2 main hospitals, government-run hospitals, the county hospital, and maybe one private privately owned hospital. In fact, one of the best hospitals is run by a non-governmental organization, the Doctors of Well Waters. So, yeah, it is very city. Maybe they can do describe a little bit what you mean. So,
So the capital is Delhi, and Delhi is about a day trip from Goa, which is the center of the Lutheran Church in Central African Republic. So you need to have Lutheran congregation in Delhi and across the way. But the center of the church, the synod, is in Goa. So Goa is in the countryside. The clinic is next to Goa, about an hour away from Goa. So it's far away from Delhi. I'm also French. So I know very well what is the French colonialist history is. And when I grew up in France, in southern France, and we had really too many people coming from Delhi. And when the decolonization happened, I remember those people being outraged to leave because they said the country is not ready. And when I came back, when I went to Bangui for the first time in 2023, I must say I was really appalled by the state of this city. Bangui is in disarray. There is no infrastructure. You have fire of detritus, there is no infrastructure to talk about. So as a French person, I was not really proud of what we left behind, I must say. The French built the road between Bangui and Rouen, which goes also, it's the main road that goes across the country and goes to Cameroon. So it's the main road where all the trucks are going. And they built that just when they could. They had a civil war between 2011 and 2021, 22, when we finally could go back. So they built that about maybe a few years before we were there, and the road already had potholes. So they built the road in such a cheap way that it's clear that when we go back, maybe in 2 or 3 years, well, next year in 2 years, the road is going to be completely disarray with huge potholes. And when we talk potholes, we don't talk like Houston sites. We talk like you do not go across the road. You really have to go around. It's like, I don't know, inches, 7 feet, it's 4, 5, 6 feet. It's really the road is collapsing. So it was for me very important to go there and to see that and to realize how much we do, this congregation and this synod is doing, because it's quite phenomenal. There is no history like, the French have. And we do that just for the goodness of our heart, because we're companion, because we are having over there a population who is growing in faith, who is having enormous needs, but that can bring us enormous benefits in terms of faith, in terms of witness, in terms of exchange of all kinds. They're not there yet, but we're going to get there. I just want to add something about the fistula. The fistula, and as a woman, I'm going to be very clear what it is. It is a hole that is being formed between the bowel movement, between the intestine and the reproductive area. So that means that a woman who has a fistula is incontinent, cannot produce any children anymore, cannot be pregnant anymore. She's completely ostracized from the community. So she's dead to the community, she's dead to our church, she's dead to the city. Basically, she's like a woman with the blood flow in the Bible. And then within 3 days, 5 days of this scan, she recovers her health, she recovers her dignity, she recovers her ability to have more children, she recovers a place into the community. It's a miracle. And this is what we've been doing. I remember in 2023, I met the doctor who is coming from Cameroon at the clinic, and he said, this is an epicenter for fistula. Why? I asked. And he said, first of all, because the delivery is, people get home deliveries, and it's not great. Second, during the war, there was a lot of sexual violence. And sexual violence is not pretty and destroy the inside of the women. So all of a sudden, they have hundreds of women with fistula that are being completely ostracized. And all of a sudden, after the doctor from Cameroon who comes about once a month in this clinic, they started to put together with Willie and the ELCA and all the churches over there, these camps, and we've been doing about 3-4 camps already.
Yeah.
About 80 women have been killed, and it keeps going. This is really something that is miraculous. So now the next step we're having is, if you don't mind really to say that, we need this clinic to be sustainable. And for those clinics to be sustainable, we need to have doctors that come from the community, that are built, because you have to realize this clinic is in the middle of the jungle, basically. It's not a jungle, but it's really like,
Well, it's not much of a town.
there is no town. It's in the middle where people need it, But you're not going to attract doctors coming from big cities, you're not going to attract European doctors to go forever. People go for 1 week, they chop, they sew, they do what they have to do, and then they go back to the cities again. So we need to have doctors coming from this community, and we need to build them, we need to educate them. And that's what we really, our next step is to provide scholarship and we'll have three nurses that the Synod is, in the ELCA is giving scholarship to, and you have a doctor that is studying education right now in Dakar, that we, as the committee and the Synod and the other two synods hopefully working on, we're not decided, we're not there yet, but working on providing scholarships for them. So this is what you're going to hear about in the next years, because we're going to need to work on that. And having not only this young man be provided for kind of scholarship, but more, because it's not enough. One doctor is not enough. That's really clear. But for now, we're starting little steps to see forward how we can really build capacity to make sure that the work that is being done, has been done for decades from our synod, is not being lost. That is really something very important. It's also very important, the work that we are doing is fundamental, because we rely on him to make sure that the money we send goes to the right place. We rely on him to make sure that the projects we do are the projects that are needed. We rely on him to work with the church in Central African Republic. We don't work with individuals, we work with the church. And without belief, we could just send money willy-nilly. And then hope that it was at the right place, and hope that the project had any prior effects. So this is really work that the work of community is so fundamental, and the work that we're doing as a Church of God is really so important right now. And that we need, absolutely need, to keep going and then to be really involved in this ministry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I haven't told Willie this yet either. I told you I'm gonna email Dr. John Fielder, who's a member of our church in the past, and a missionary doctor in Kenya, or whatever, as long as Grace has been alive, so almost 23 years. Wow. Anyway, I told him about the fistula camp, and he wrote back, oh, that's Dr. Andrew Sorensen. Anything you could, like he's acting the whole program, and such. And so he also gave me some advice about how we work out the deal work things, also well. So, he was impressed that we were working, that CAR was working, that they had to figure out, how to get that done. That's no small thing. So really, a lot of credit to church, the church there, and Willie, to everyone pull whatever strings they had to pull to make it happen.
And then just to show the importance of the work that the church is doing, all other organizations that provide that kind of service or similar services would be the government and the Catholic Church. So if we take out the Lutheran Church, then it's the government and the Catholic Church, lastly. And so it's very important for us to continue to do what we're doing. And as Veronique was saying, yesterday, the first young man who is going to train to be the first doctor in the church, started school in Senegal. So we're hoping that you will continue to support his education and the education of the others who are in training now, especially in Ghana. In fact, we've had to go over to Cameroon to bring in doctors and nurses for this clinic, because we can't find them in Sierra. And it's really difficult to convince people to leave Cameroon and go and work in the Central African Republic. Since February, we've been looking for an ultrasound technician to work in Ghana, and we're not doing up till now we've not found one. So that's how difficult it is for people to go accept to go and work in the Central African Republic. Locally, we will find them. To have people going there is very difficult.
To go back to Linda's question, but for example, with the headquarters of the church, it was the biggest town I was in when I was there. I did not go to Bonnie. And it was maybe 50,000 people or maybe more.
20.
Okay, so 20,000, but then as you go out, you don't, it's like Houston used to be, or you didn't know where the city ended, because eventually things just got far enough apart, that you're like, okay, I'm outside of Greater Houston area again. It's kind of like that outside of town, so it serves more people than 20,000 population. But, there's like half a dozen two-story buildings left behind by the French and one bank for all those people. I mean, there's no infrastructure of any sort really anywhere.
What about safe people in Greenberg? Is there a very safe place?
I'll let Willie answer that question.
That's one thing that people worry about. Safety is not really an issue in part of the country that where the church is. 10 years ago, there was active violence, there was an active war, but that has been handled for the last 5 to 7 years since 2020. We've had really no problem. There's still insecurity to the east of the country because of the war in Sudan. So you have the rebels or government forces fighting in Sudan who run into the Central African Republic to take refuge and go back and fight. But we don't have any sort of situation now. And the other thing to do is if you want to go in, even in any of the country where there's insecurity, and the church tells you don't come from the Lutheran. They always look out for us. If really there's an issue with insecurity, they will always inform us. It's not time to come, wait, come and visit them. So, I mean, the delegation from here was there in 2023 for the 100th anniversary. There was no issue at all.
And during, so, what was there in 2011? It was kind of late 2011, early 2012 was when the violence erupted and civil war kind of happened. Hard to know how to define it. Carolyn has worked a lot to try to define how do you name that conflict, and it's hard to figure out what it really was. It is, historians might figure out one day. But it's so all the missionaries left, of course, that were there, and access to the country was limited. At the end of the war, which is what I find so amazing, there were more brain boxes than there were before the war. People had built them and put them in, because the need for clean water became greater in more places. Many people were displaced. They had like 1 million or 4 million people were displaced, internally displaced during the war. I read it somewhere. But there are also more churches. So it's the church thrived in a way that by meeting the needs of the community around the church survived and became a leading, I guess, provider of basic needs people where there was no infrastructure. And Willie was telling me, and please say something about like the church being on the radio, the news and the radio stuff you were telling us about.
Yeah, I said earlier about the church growing and doing all of this work. So the church has become very popular because everybody's talking about what the church is doing in the radios, in the local radios, in the news. And so places where the church was dwindling because of the conflict and people have come back and there's no pastor, there's nowhere to worship, are going back to call almost every week they call into the office of the president to ask, can you come and reopen our church? We have this many people who are worshiping and we're gonna have a pastor come to see us. And in fact, what happened is a congregation, Baptist congregation, wanted to join, to quit the Baptist church and join the Lutheran Church. But the president said, no, if you want to do that, then we have to talk to your pastor, we have to talk to the hierarchy, and we will have to agree if the hierarchy wants us to take over or for your congregation to join us, that will be fine. But if it's just you and your congregants, we're not going to do that, you know. So,
Willie, can you talk a little bit about how it's really under the leadership of the current president that a lot of these new programs have started?
And when we say president, that's the bishop, right?
yeah, because, you know, before between 2019 and 2020, the church had went through a very difficult time. It was lots of challenges in management by the leadership at that point. But in the end of 2020, November, church elected a new leadership, new president, Joseph Lloyd, and with president and his team have done all of this work that we were talking about. And in fact, I've seen more done within this last year since he came into office than I've seen for the last 10 years in the church. So we have a very good leadership now, which is what is helping us do all of what we're doing today.
Well, a question about the schools. Does the high school have electricity?
No, there's no electricity.
So there are no computers, so sending computers and internet, probably there is no internet. How can we help the schools? What materials do they need?
Right now, what they need is equipment for the schools, like the bench, just tables for the students to use. We just build a new 4 classroom building, and so those need benches and books. Yeah, and we also need to train more teachers. One thing that we're trying to do, which is sort of innovative, is to not just do what we call grammar education, which is you read the books, you write the exams, and you pass the exams, but to start developing skills with the kids, as the high school kids, as they come in. So we're going to start a computer lab to have children be able to use the computer and learn simple computer skills like word processing, and so that by the time they leave school, they're already employed, or they can start their own business if they have that capacity. They will need a generator to run the computer. Also skills like plumbing, electricity. We are going to introduce those in this high school, which is something that those are skills that are needed, but nobody is doing them. You have to go finish high school, finish university, and maybe if you are not able to go to the school, then that's when people think about how maybe you can be a mechanic, and you can then train to be an electrician. But this, we want to introduce this in high school.
There's a huge shortage of, it was only technical people in any field that can just like work with technical people who just come and set up a machine to operate. In fact, he's got a group on his hand. He was trying to do something that a regular technician do, and he ended up injuring his fingers in the process, and he just got tired of waiting. And so like it's one of the things where building that capacity serves the whole country. And is it better for us to try to gather books and benches, or is it better to send money for that to be purchased locally?
Books are expensive to transport, cost a lot, and the books here are not going to be useful. In CAR, the school is in French, so we have you buy English books in English here, really.
Yeah.
The high school students are learning English as a subject, but, English books are not enough. So it's better buy the books, in country. And the other thing is that the school programs, government changes the school program like almost every year. So that gets really, complicated. It's good to buy locally, then you control the school program, and buy as they are needed.
Thank
Thank you, Willie.
And I think it's time for. Willie will be here for our late service, as well, and so there's a chance for visiting, if you'd like to talk individually with them, between now and service and after service. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So, to explain why it's his first time at Christ the King, to speak like this, is that we've been a supporter for a long time. And so every time he comes, there's a limited amount of time that he's here. And we've always suggested he go see other congregations that aren't supporters yet, or are starting to become supporters rather than coming to Christ the King. But this time he decided there's too many of us that he has to come, so. And we have had visits from the bishops who visited here. But yeah, we didn't want to hog him to ourselves, except that I used to always have him stay at my house, so I've kind of held him. And now the Solaces have gotten to host him, so now I'm gonna fight over him every time he comes.
Yeah, and thank you so much. I really want to appreciate the work of the Synod Committee for this time. I used to come and I told Faith last time that I remember the Faith, because I've always gone to Faith. This time expanding the number of congregations, that gave me the chance to be here today. So, yeah, like he said, Lucky said, any question you wanted to ask that question in private, stay here. I know that some people don't have the courage to ask questions in public like this, but please see me anytime and ask any question. I'm not going to give all the answers, but ask any question.